Hey, it's Lindsey with Ryan and Rose, Brett here. And as you know, we recently went on a Disney cruise that was very magical. It was amazing. Everything that we thought it would be. But a lot of you asked about us in DMs and in our stories. We kind of talked about, I kind of gave you a little bit of tips. And if y'all know the process up to the cruise, I was very overwhelmed.
You really didn't want to go.
I didn't want to go.
She said, just sign us up and I'll be there. But.
Yes. But I would, all in all, I would go again, and I highly recommend it. So if you're thinking about a cruise or a Disney cruise, I highly, highly, highly recommend it. This is a person that's never been on a cruise at all. It was so nice. So we thought it would be cool to kind of do a video to kind of put all of our tips and what we learned into one video and one place where you could go.
The shows, we highly recommend those every night.
And the shows were so good.
One of our favorite things is it's all included. So we went to the dining hall every chance we could for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. And
it was really good.
Fancy white tablecloth that they serve you. And
then at the end, one thing that we learned is they're like, hey, they give you a sheet, a printout, and if you want to, add a tip, this is the gratuity that they're, you're being charged.
The assistant server for your bellman, and it's all listed there and what's recommended.
And I love that.
Yeah, so you can wait and do all that at the end.
We actually have to bring it. So you have whatever costumes, they have a pirate night, and we all dressed as pirates. And so these are costumes I bought and I brought with us. You need to bring those costumes because then you'll feel left out if you didn't. When you're going to a park, you might see one or two, but then you don't really want to wait in that line. But on a boat, you get to see them all. We highly recommend the app.
Make sure you download the cruise app before you get on the boat. If not, you have to use that very expensive data to download the app before you can even use it.
And of course, not everybody can do Concierge. We just kind of looked out on a special. But if you do get Concierge, they take you, when it's time to get off the ship, they take you to the front of the line and you don't have to wait.
They escort you off the boat and on.
Yeah. So we borrowed Brooks, his sister's stroller. We had one of those, I forget what it's called, basically a compact stroller. It just basically folds up to like this, and it was awesome. And it was so good for those days that you get off the boat.
We kind of passed on a lot of the pictures. We're like, we're not buying the picture package. But I would go ahead and let them take the picture. It's free.
Yeah.
And then, because we ended up buying some of them anyways.
I recommended for them to at least be 2, maybe 1.5. I mean, there's still stuff for them to do, I think, to be able to really enjoy it. Now, there were a lot of babies on the boat. And
yeah. I mean, I think if you were going to do multiple times, you could take any age. But if you were trying to just do it
once,
I would probably say 3 to Ryan's age is great.
I didn't know what to expect. Even when we got on the ship, it was very overwhelming because we were like, what do you do? I don't know what you do. So these are just some things that we learned, and I know next time we go, it would be so easy, so smooth, because we know what to expect. So I kind of thought we would start with some of our favorites. So what do you think overall? Oh, and we did go on the Disney Cruise Dream, and it was...
The boat is the Dream. I think we did a 5-day, 4-night cruise, which is a little deceiving because it's really 3 full days. Monday we got on, and you're on the boat that afternoon, and then Friday, the last day, you're off at 7, 8 a.m. So
early morning.
But yeah, we enjoyed it. I think some of our favorites were the shows. We highly recommend those every night.
So they have different shows every night, and then, so basically, I didn't understand this, is you either like go to dinner or you go to the show, and then the next group, they swap.
So we were assigned the late dinner, which is like 8 or 8:30. I was a little worried about that at the beginning, but you either, like she said, you either have the early show and the late dinner, or you have it's flip vice versa. But that worked out well because we could go to the late dinner, or you could eat the buffet or something quick beforehand. And you know, if you had the late show, you would, you know, with little kids, were they still up or you know?
And the shows were so good. And what's crazy is the shows that I didn't think, I was like, oh, this ain't gonna be good. It was awesome. I think that my favorite show was the one about magic. Not the magic, the person that did magic, but the, you know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm. The last one, I think it was called Believe.
Yes, Believe. It was so good. Oh, it's so good. So,
But
really.
they're Broadway caliber shows.
Yeah.
On
Like, so you don't miss those. Like, they're so good. I don't know if we went on a cruise next year, if they'd be different. But every night had a show. I know they had interpreters on the early shows. I never got to see them because we were on the late shows, but that's one thing. They do have ASL interpreters on the boat and on those shows, but the shows were so, so good. So
I think another one of our favorites was just eating. We ate a lot. I probably gained 5 pounds in a week.
Yeah, and I'm not a big eater, but I felt like I was eating all the time. And we don't really do buffets in real life.
No.
But it was good.
Or fake life. We're just not
fake life,
buffet fans.
Yeah, but it was.
Well, that's why I wrote a note. We never actually ate at the buffet cabanas.
Yeah, we didn't.
We walked through it one time, and it's a mile long. They
Yeah.
have everything you could ever imagine. But I think with Charlie or small kids, it's kind of overwhelming because I leave them over here in the high chair while I go carry 3 plates of food. It's not like you can take them with you. And
Yeah.
so one of our favorite things is it's all included. So we went to the dining hall every chance we could for breakfast, lunch, or dinner.
It was really good.
Fancy white tablecloth that they serve you, and everything's a little bit nicer there. The food's better.
I think another thing that was one thing we said we loved was the staff. So like one thing when we talked about dinner earlier, so like you have the same server every night. Mm-hmm. So by the time at the end of the ship or the end of your trip, they know you. They know, like, they already know what you want to drink. They already know what, oh, your kids need to order. Like they got it. And we actually, when we ate breakfast, we ended up getting the same servers in the morning too, and they were so good. Like, I don't know, the staff
keeping the kids entertained, or
yeah,
they
making
always brought
puppets
theirs out first because you got hangry kids.
Oh my gosh! And Charlie at 8:15 was a little with no blippy, like no YouTube. Oh my gosh! Like we were challenged on this trip a little bit. But yeah, like even like they did a little squeaker thing, and they just knew how to. They knew how to take care of kids, and it was so good. The food was really good, and I'm kind of picky, so like, I mean, it's probably the best eggs I've had ever. But yeah, so anyways, food was really good. No matter where you went on the boat, there is also like on the upper deck, they have like basically places where you can eat anytime. So like pizza, they have burgers, they have chicken fingers, and that's open all the time. A lot of people told me to put Cokes in, because they know I'm a Dr. Pepper lover. They said, put Cokes in your bag. I didn't need them. I didn't put them in there, but you have Cokes anytime you want.
A typical, well, you can at least get like fountain drinks at any moment. Lucky for us, we stayed at the concierge level, and they had soft drinks and snacks and stuff out all the time. But I think that was a good tip if you were in a different room that didn't have those, that you could bring a 12-pack and just put them in your suitcase.
Yeah, or because even on the second deck, they had the Coke.
Yeah, they had fountain drinks
Yeah.
at any point.
They just kind of stressed me out when we were walking on the ship, because I was getting DMs, and they're like, did you bring Dr. Pepper? And I'm like, what do you mean, did I bring Dr. Pepper? Nobody told me to bring Dr. Pepper, but it worked out fine, so it was good. But yeah, so yeah.
I think another plus, and it seems small, but just the smells. Everywhere smells good. Like there's not a bad smell on the boat. I don't know if they actively.
And I feel like that's Disney.
Yeah, Disney in general. But they captured the same magic of the Disney parks onto a boat, which I think is probably hard to do. But
yeah, I mean, I wish I had a word for the service, but it was like awesome. Like what you think of Disney. It was just, how can I serve you? What do you need? Like, I think one thing about our rooms, Brett said my favorite part was when we would come back and my room was clean. And I'm not talking about like when you're staying at a hotel. I'm talking about he put my stuff up. Like he folded my clothes and he stacked them and he put my makeup where it went. And I love that. Like it was like, I'm truly on vacation. And that's service, that's like the service. Oh, one thing I wanted to say that we didn't really understand, and this is a tip that we'll talk about a little bit later, was tip. So like at dinner, we were like, we need, because you're not paying for it, like it's all inclusive. So like
you don't get like a check to know what to tip off of, or I didn't sometimes have change, or
you don't have a lot of cash. And so we would be like, oh, here's 20 bucks. But then at the end, one thing that we learned is they're like, hey, they give you a sheet, a printout, and if you want to, add a tip, this is the gratuity that they're, you're being charged.
The assistant server for your bellman, and it's all listed there and what's recommended.
And I love that.
Yeah. So you can wait and do all that at the end, and not have to stress about it during each meal, or do I have enough cash on me, or
do I need some later? Yeah.
Yep.
So one thing that kind of stressed me out was dress up. And so if you know me and you follow me on Instagram, I love Halloween. I love dressing up. I love everything about it. So on our boat, what was it called? It was the Halloween on the high seas or something?
Yeah, basically all fall they run Halloween on the high seas, and they have a dress up night or for trick-or-treating. And
yeah, so one thing people kept asking me in my DMs is, did you buy that costume or did you have to bring it? We actually have to bring it. So you have whatever costumes, they have a pirate night, which you'll see, we'll show some pictures, and we all dressed up as pirates. And so these are costumes I bought and I brought with us. And then
the whole boat dresses up as
yes,
pirates.
It's so cool. And then the second night is, or I don't know which night, but one of the nights is like Halloween. And so they go around, they have trick or treat stations, and you go around and you get we had so much candy. We still have a lot of that candy, but you have to bring those costumes. But for us, we had planned to be pirates. And then I found out, oh, they have a pirate night. And I was like, no, that was my costume. So that's when we ended up we all were Minnie Mouse. And so I actually ordered 2 Minnie Mouses for Ryan. And so I was like, oh, okay, we're all gonna be Minnie Mouse. So that was cute. I mean, it worked out. But you have to bring the costumes, and you need to bring those costumes because then you'll feel left out if you didn't. So because the kids they look awesome. And I think that was one of the best nights when all the characters came out and danced. And that's another thing of our favorites is the characters. When you're going to a park, you might see 1 or 2, but then you don't really want to wait in that line. But on a boat, you get to see them all.
They're all there.
We highly recommend the app. So if you go in and I didn't use the app till the end of the week, and I wish I would have used it earlier in the week because it says when the characters, what they're going to be on the 2nd floor of the deck, and so exactly.
They were so often that we would just run into them by happenstance sometimes. And,
yeah.
It'd be, they're going to be here in 2 minutes. We just hang out and you get to meet Goofy, and no waiting in line for an hour.
Yeah.
So that was good. Yeah, so the first stop we had was in the Bahamas. It was in Nassau, and we would, I pre-booked it. You had multiple options, but we selected to go to Atlantis, and I think they called it the Aqua Adventure. Everyone gets a wristband. You get to go to the resort and do all their water slides and pools. And so we got that for everyone. Highly recommend it, but we also got a cabana, and I wouldn't say that was worth it.
Yeah. It was kind of far away from where the kiddie pool was, so it's like, oh, if I need something, I gotta walk all the way back over here and then go back. So and it wasn't that crowded, so we could have gotten a chair anywhere we wanted. But
I'd probably leave that off.
Yeah, but I liked it. We went to Atlantis on our honeymoon, and wherever we were this time, I don't know if it's been improved, it was so nice. Yep. I didn't expect it to be this nice, and it was really nice. It was very clean. So I actually really enjoyed Atlantis. I know Charlie probably, if you said what did they enjoy the most, that was Charlie. She loved Atlantis. She went down all the big kid slides, 100 times. I got tired of having to climb back up there with her. I'm like, are you sure you're not done? Are you sure you're not slided out? But it was really nice. And the food, we said that the food was cheaper than what we remember 10 years ago, or 15 years ago.
Yeah, it seemed to be. Like you could get a cheeseburger meal for 10 or 11 bucks.
Yeah. That was also another plus about the concierge. And of course, not everybody can do concierge. We just kind of looked out on a special. But if you do get concierge, they take you, when it's time to get off the ship, they take you to the front of the line and you don't have to wait.
They escort you off the boat and on.
Yeah. And that's the same way when you get on the boat. So right when you get there, we did a picture with Minnie Mouse, which I highly recommend. This is our favorite picture. I'm so glad we waited in that line. But once you get on the boat, you get to concierge, one person just takes you and oh, here you go, here you're on the boat. You have to wait in that line. And then when you leave the boat too, we didn't really know what we were doing.
Yeah, we had no clue. So when we walked, we were just, let's leave. So we walked down to the the level that you get off at, and the line was around and around as far as you could see. Like, I am not waiting.
I was like, that's me and no dog.
Let's just go back to the room.
Yeah.
And we went back to the room, and then our one of the guys from Concierge says, no, we'll escort you out. So one of my tips, if you didn't stay Concierge, was either leave early, that you can get off as early as like 7:30 a.m. and you're probably the first ones off the boat.
Do that.
That, or just be last. Don't plan on getting in any hurry. Sit back, eat breakfast, wait till they kick you off the boat. Either way, I wouldn't want to spend my last day of vacation waiting in an hour line just to get into customs. So pick one of the two there. I
know once Concierge got us off, it was smooth, like getting all your luggage, and that was really, really nice. So Atlantis was really nice, and then the other option, the second day we went to...
It's Disney's private island, Castaway Cay. It's beautiful. They have like a private cove. You hang out by the beach, kids can play in. It's shallow water and it's not rough. That day we kind of just took it easy. Like you could have got off really early. We stayed back on the boat, had breakfast in the dining hall.
Nobody was on the boat, it was just us.
It was just us. So we were probably like an hour behind everyone else. And when we get off the boat, it's just us. You can walk to the beach. And we spent maybe half a day out there.
Yeah, it was nice. I think we were late, and so we got to we're kind of laid back people. So like we got breakfast, and then we got off. And right when we got off, it's like, oh, there's Mickey Mouse, and we had a picture. And then it was like right when we got done, oh, there's Goofy. We had no line, so it was just really worked out perfectly. And of course, that's one thing I always pray about. Y'all know in my stories, I pray about favor of the Lord, and that was definitely favor just throughout the whole trip. But then we enjoyed the beach, but we went to the boat early. And
so we basically came back for a late lunch, maybe 1 or 2 o'clock, and there's nobody on the boat. We had lunch, and then Ryan got to just do all the water activities on the boat, which are normally kind of overcrowded. Like when everyone's on the boat, you don't want to go to the pool. It's small, it's packed. But there was like, a dozen people there, and Charlie was playing in the splash pad. Ryan did probably her favorite thing, the aqueduct.
It's like a tube ride all the way on the
upper deck of the boat.
Upper deck, yeah.
She got to do that multiple times.
And the splash pad for kids was really, really nice. Like Charlie loved it, and it was really good. So I really recommend doing that as well. So Ryan, one thing we've never done at the park, and she's always wanted to do, is Bippity Boppity Boutique, and that was really nice, and she loved that. As you know, I'm not really a planner, and so when we got to the cruise, we didn't have anything planned because this was a last minute kind of trip, and everything was booked. And that was a perk of Concierge, and they're like, we're like, can we get Bippity Boppity?
We had a reservation for that.
Oh, we did?
For Bippity Boppity, but he was like, that's during the show time. So you're not going to want to do that and miss a show. So he got the time moved around. He's like, plus, you'd just be going to bed.
Yeah.
So she wouldn't get to enjoy it. So he got that time moved better before dinner. She got to wear.
That's where they do they dress up like a princess and do their hair with all that crazy amount of glitter that like stresses me out. But yeah, and then the princess encounter, we highly recommend that, because basically you get all the princesses lined up, and then you just come through the line. It was like boop, boop, boop,
They get to meet all of them in one swoop.
Yeah, so definitely do that. And then we did Anna and Elsa, and I like that, but I definitely like the princess one better. So if you only got to choose one, I would probably do the princess one over an Anna Elsa. Even though they're both, if you could do both, but definitely the princess. And then things that we took advantage of is we did we got a massage, and they have like a kids area for Charlie, like daycare, and then they have a play area for Ryan, and you have a band, and you can have to sign them in and sign them out, and it's really
like
well done.
They have all kinds of activities and play things they can do. She seemed to really enjoy it.
And she did that a lot. I don't know, it was just, overall, it was awesome, and like I said, I'm not a planner. Brett always plans vacations, and I just show up and I pack. So yeah.
I know one of the things was when we cover, I couldn't find any information on was Wi-Fi on the boat. And I was like, well, surely, 2019 they have Wi-Fi. I'm sure of it, and they do, but it's expensive.
Yeah.
It's not charged by the minute; it's probably by the second. Actually, it's $89 for 1 gig.
So when you get it, when you're using it, then you got to turn it off. So
basically you have to shut your phone down, because it running in the background can use it all up in a day.
Like there's $90.
I figured it up. It came down to about, because we had to do stories.
Yeah.
I mean, that was mandatory. We figured it was about $2 a story to upload.
Yeah.
But,
His phone would work and mine wouldn't, and I was like,
Yeah.
you have to sign in under Ryan and Rose on my, like, it was giving me anxiety because like.
Well, that's the other thing is make sure you download the cruise app before you get on the boat. If not, you have to use that very expensive data to download the app before you can even use it.
And it takes a long time to download.
Yes.
So it has to
Because
work
even though it's
extra hard.
expensive, it's not good. It's still very slow. Only works in certain areas of the boat.
But I did enjoy, like, one thing I think the cruise taught me is, like, I am on my phone way too much. You know, like my life stories on Instagram. But it was actually really nice. Like, I would do stories, save it, and then I'd put my phone away. Like, it was an awesome disconnect. So part of it I enjoyed, and part of it stressed me out because it wouldn't post. Like, we would try, and then I'm like, oh, it's using my gigs. So we borrowed Brooks, his sister's stroller. And that's one thing. We actually bought a travel car seat too, and they both were amazing. I'm so glad we had both of them, but especially the compact stroller. You definitely don't want a big stroller on the cruise because you have to fit it in your room. But we had one of those, I forget what it's called, basically a compact stroller. It just basically folds up to like this, and it was awesome. And it was so good for those days that you get off the boat. So like on the day we went to Castaway Cay, the day we went to Atlantis, you had to walk a long way.
I probably walked a mile.
Yeah.
You know,
So
carrying a
you
baby could get
definitely want a stroller. Of course, the only time we needed a car seat basically was the flight, and that's just because our kid is uncontrollable and without a seat.
That's a containment seat.
Yes, for Charlie. But yeah, and then we went to Disney after, but Corey, you could have got that for a rental car. But definitely a stroller. Definitely a stroller. Yeah.
And on a side note, you know, we went to Disney for the weekend after for like 3 days, and I kind of feel like that was a bit much.
Yeah.
We definitely enjoyed it, but it was a
Exhausting.
lot. When we got back, we were ready to lay down and go to bed.
Definitely dress up. Definitely dress up. And when I got on the boat, I was like, oh, I forgot a pumpkin for our candy. They give you a bag. Don't even worry about it. They give you candy. They give you everything. People did tell me to bring magnets for our door. They didn't stick to my door, but I don't know if it's because we were on Concierge or Disney's just different. I think
another thing was like, we kind of passed on a lot of the pictures. We're like, we're not buying the picture package. We're not, but I would go ahead and let them take the picture. It's free.
Yeah.
And then, because we ended up buying some of them anyway, so there's probably some we missed out on just
because we were like, no, thank you.
Yeah. I don't want your $200 picture.
Yeah. But I don't know, just Disney in general, we love Disney. We always say, you know, they're one of our kind of like mentors we look up to as service, and like we want to provide that at Ryan and Rose, and we want it to be magical. But yeah, I would definitely do it again. No stress, just.
I guess another thing just about cruising in general is I get motion sickness, and I was kind of worried about that. We brought patches with us. So the first day it was kind of unnerving just when we went out to sea and I could just feel it moving. And I never got sick. It was just, it took a little bit to get used to, and it took a little bit to get used to when we got off the boat. Like for a few days later, I just felt like the earth was still just rocking.
Yeah. And I felt drunk, but like not sick. Like I never felt I was gonna throw up. And Ryan gets motion sick a lot, and I don't think she had it.
She said, I can't feel it.
Yeah, which I'm very glad, because I think I was the most concerned about her. But I don't know, this trip was, it was awesome. It was a little tricky on parenting. We felt like we were, some days, some moments were really rough. We got tested a lot. But it was, it's part of parenthood, and we would definitely do it again. And a lot of questions that you asked me, okay, my kid's a year old. I recommended for them to at least be 2.
Yeah.
Maybe 1.5. I mean, there's still stuff for them to do, I think, to be able to really enjoy it. Now, there were a lot of babies on the boat, and, it worked. They look like they're, everybody's having a good time too, but.
I mean, I think if you were going to do multiple times, yeah, you could take any age, but if you were trying to just do it
once,
I would probably say 3 to Ryan's age is great.
Yeah.
Charlie was right there in the middle, but I think she enjoyed it.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's it. So hopefully this was a few tips. I know it's kind of long, but it's a lot, and this can be overwhelming. And like I said, I was overwhelmed at first, but I would definitely do it again. Plan. But just know that, and I think that's Brett always said, like, if you forget something, you can get it. Like, don't worry about it. And that's how it was. Like, you met this, go to the store. They have this.
Like they provided the, the pack and play for Charlie to sleep.
Oh
in,
yeah.
so you don't have to bring that.
And so when we got into the room, they're like, hey, we asked for a pack and play, and he's like, hey, do you want a diaper genie? And I was like, oh no, I don't, and then he's like, well, let me just bring you one. Yes, let them bring you a diaper genie.
Small room with diapers, it's nice.
Yeah, it was awesome. I was like, maybe I need to invest one for our house because I haven't had one since Ryan. So it's just service like that, like just going above and beyond, and that's Disney, and it is magical. They say Disney is magical, like that is what it is. So I know you recommend the cruise.
Yep.
I recommend the cruise, and so if you ever have questions, put them in the comments. You can DM us. Make sure you are following us at Ryan and Rose, and we will see you next time. Bye.